Good evening. Welcome to maryisanewevangelization.com. And tonight we're going to talk about the church of Peter, and we're going to talk about the church of John, Mary. Uh, and we're going to take a look at where we are personally. So, the church of Peter, Jesus said to Peter, "On this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." And later he said, "Peter, feed my sheep, feed my lambs, tend my sheep." So, and Peter was the spokesperson on Pentecost. Yeah, Peter was definitely the leader of the church. And we also have the church of Mary and John and Mary. So at the cross, when Jesus was dying and his mother was dying with him, uh, that's when the sword pierced her heart. The prophecy of Simeon happened at Calvary. The sword pierced Mary's heart when her son was being pierced. So they were both pierced at Calvary. Um, Jesus physically, Mary spiritually, and Jesus spiritually also. So at the cross, he said to her, there was the thief that converted at the cross, and then he said to her, "Mary, woman, behold your son, son, behold your mother." From that moment, he took her into his home. Mary Magdalene was there, Mary, the wife of Salome, uh, or Salome and another Mary. I always get them confused. But there was a small group there at the cross that basically Jesus started the church there also with through Mary and John and these women that were there. So when you follow this out, nothing against Peter, but he denied him 3 times. So how did Jesus even know Peter was going to be there on the other side? I mean, he probably wished same for Judas. So, you know, Jesus established a spiritual church for when the more institutional church goes astray. It's the spiritual church that's got to keep things going. And we see that today clearly, that the institutional church has just lost its way completely. There are so many restrictions now. You can't even do anything. You can't have any kind of meetings or retreats or anything without going through all kinds of issues. It's not even worth it in a lot of places. It's because the institutional church is fouled up. They got all this abuse allegations, all this corruption, cover up, you know. So that falls under the church of Peter, because those are the people that are in charge who messed up. So the church of John and Mary, that is the spiritual church. That's the church that, you talk about the wise and the foolish virgins. They don't get up. John and Mary, they're not getting into all the church politics and no, they're sticking to being at Calvary. You know, so you look at John's gospel, it's different than the other 3 gospels. John's on another level altogether. Look at his epistles. Look at the book of Revelation. I mean, really, Daniel. So Daniel was part of the church of John and Mary, if you think about it. Um, so different people fall into different places. Now, they've tried to put John people in the more church government, and that's good. Pope Francis is probably one of those guys. Um, but there's no guarantee there that they're going to fit in, A, and they're going to be respected, B. So every church, Catholic, Protestant, has this same basic setup. You got the spiritual people and you got the legal people. Now, that's not saying that the legal people can't be spiritual. They can be, they should be, they ought to be. But when they're not, it's a complete disaster. It's a complete disaster. So, you think John the Apostle or Mary Magdalene would be like burning heretics and, excommunicating people and, no, they'd be praying for people, converting people. That's what they do. So, yes, does God want everyone to work together? Yes, he does. But when things go astray and things get really bad, you got to stick with the spiritual. You can't go with the physical. You got to go with the spiritual here. So think about it. The Antichrist, is he going to take over the spiritual church? No way. There's no way. It's impossible. He's not going to get near the spiritual church. He's not even going to get near it. But can he get near? Can he get close to the, the external church, the empirical church, the, the buildings, the government of the church? Yes, that's where he can get in, because that's where you have corruption. You don't have corruption in the spiritual church. You have corruption in the power church. That's where the corruption is. That's where the devil's going to get in. That's where he already has gotten in, because that's all about power and position and prestige and the things that Jesus warned against. So, we pray for Peter and those who are involved in church government, just like the same thing with politics in America. If you're going to get in the political battle, dude, who's righteous? Who is pure in the political spectrum? Really? It's a minority of people. Ron Paul is maybe the only guy I've ever known that was actually pure, and kept himself that way. Now, so I'm talking Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. And the same thing goes for the church. It's a government. There's a church government, but there's the church of Jesus gave to Mary and John and Mary. That's spiritual. Okay, so that's it, guys. You can deny it. You can try to this, that, and the other thing, but that's the bottom line. And when push comes to shove, who was at Calvary? Okay, not Peter. He wasn't there. So it's your choice. Who are you going to follow? Mary, John, Mary, or are you going to follow Peter? It's your choice, guys. God bless.